Last class, we started combining like terms, and we used some emojis to help us do that. I had asked you to come ready today with 11 through 17 attempted. So I just want to take a few minutes to go through those, make sure we have them correct, and then apply what we're doing with our emojis to our equation solving that we've been working on. So if we take a look at number 11, we have 2, if you want to call them bunnies, if you want to call them rabbits, doesn't matter. Then we have 3 more of the same, and we have 6 turtles. It's probably supposed to be tortoise in the hare, I'm going to guess, so maybe we should have used H for hares, but the variable doesn't matter. If you use B for bunny, R for rabbit, H for hare, it doesn't matter. What matters is you use the same variable when it's the same picture. So now I can combine those things that are the same. So I have 2 B's and 3 B's. I have 5 B's. I have just a plain 7 there. And I don't think I'm going to squeeze it in and go up here. I also have 6 turtles. I can't combine anything else together. I know there's addition signs there, but I can't combine anything else together because nothing else is like. Nothing else is the same. In number 12, it looks like we have some presents. I have 6 presents plus 4 cakes. Now here's where we have to be careful. We saw this last class just a couple times. We do have subtraction in front of our next set of presents. So we do have to subtract 2 presents. Nobody wants to take away presents, but that's what it has us do. And then again, we see subtraction with our cakes. Now I can combine my presents, 6 presents, minus 2 presents. We have a subtraction there in front of the 2. Then we have 4 cakes. We take away 2 cakes, and we have 2 cakes left. In number 13, we have 2 happy faces, we'll say, plus 4 angry faces, plus 3 happy, plus 7 angry. I can combine the happies, there's 5 happies, and I can combine the angries, there's 11 of them. In number 14, it looks like we have some police officers. So I'm going to do 5 police plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 police. Plus, we've got some masked up people. I don't know if they're supposed to be sick or if they're supposed to be doctors. All right, you guys are saying corona people. So we've got 3 corona patients minus 2 corona patients. So I have 5 police plus 9 police, 14 police. I have 3 corona patients. I take away 2. 2 of them got better. I'm down to 1. You can put the 1 in front of the C if you want. Again, I know I asked you to do these ahead of time for today. So if you have different variables, aka the letters, if you used, maybe you thought the masked people were doctors and you used a D instead of C. Maybe you just said they were sick, and so you used an S. It doesn't matter which variable, aka letter, you chose. You should have 14 of whatever you chose to represent the police officers, and then minus 1 of whatever you chose to represent the masked emojis. Now the last 3, they probably were a little more challenging. They do involve the distributive property. And I'm finding that some of you are super familiar with this property, others of you are not. We're going to use this property a couple of classes from now, so I just wanted to give a little preview today. So what we have a 4, and then we have parentheses, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to call them poop, whatever you would like to use there. And then we have a 6, minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 poops. Now, when we have a number right in front of the parentheses, that is when we need to distribute. When we distribute, we multiply. So we do 4 times 3 is 12p. 4 times 6, if you need a calculator check, that's cool, is just 24. No p with it, just 24. And then we have minus 7p. We have to be careful that we include that subtraction. We have to look at the sign in front, and we have to make sure it stays the same. So we have 12p minus 7p we get 5p, and then we just have a plus 24. That's all we can do for that question. Sorry guys, that's a goofy looking p there. There we go. So we're going to see the same thing in number 6. We just have one, looks like a flower to me. I'm going to go ahead and distribute. 6 times 1 flower is going to give me 6 flowers. 6 times 5 gives me 30. Plus, and I have 3 flowers there. So 6 flowers plus 3 flowers gives me 9 flowers. And I have a plus 30. Our very last one, those look like apples to me. I know some of you maybe thought tomatoes. A couple people said strawberries. I think they look like apples. It's a little easier to tell. My screen's in color. Your worksheet was black and white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 apples plus, I'm going to distribute. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 1 apple gives me 6 apples, but I have to be careful. There's a minus there. So 7 apples minus 6 apples gives me 1 apple, and then I just have a plus 18. Now you will often see this written though without the 1. It's not wrong. I'm never going to mark it wrong if you have a 1 in front of your variable. It's just you usually won't see it written that way. We saw that with some of our equations over the last few classes. So the idea is, with this sheet, I wanted to make the idea of combining like terms visual for you. When we go now and solve equations involving the same idea, we're not going to have the pictures there, but you could, in your own brain, picture something for the variables. You could. So if we have x's, I don't know of many things that start with x's besides an x-ray and a xylophone perhaps, but you could picture those things. And maybe that'll help you keep in mind what it means to have like terms. I can only combine things that are the same. So keeping with this idea of combining those like terms, let's go to page 8 in our notes packet. Step 1 says we need to distribute, but the thing I want to point out, it says if needed. You might not always need to distribute when you solve an equation. Step 2 says combine like terms if needed. Then after we take care of those things if we need to, then we just solve how we've been solving, taking care of the addition and subtraction first, and then taking care of any division or multiplication. And then step 4 says check your solution. I want to make sure we review again today how we can check. So if we take a look at number 1, keeping in mind the idea of like terms, I can only put together the things that are the same. So on that emoji sheet, we can only combine bunnies with bunnies, turtles with turtles. We can only combine presents with presents and cake with cakes. So as I look at number 1, and I look on the left side of the equation, I see, and I know the variable x, it's kind of hard, maybe think of a xylophone. I have 2 xylophones minus 8 xylophones. The 2x minus 8x, they both have x's. They are like terms. The 1 over here, it doesn't have an x, so I can't put it together. It would be a totally different picture. So I have 2x minus 8x, negative 6x. I still have the plus 1, I still have the equals, and I still have the 49. Super important, you guys. I know for some of us, we've been kind of slacking off on showing those steps. Even on the one-step ones, I know it was just one step, but we need to get in the habit of showing those steps. Now, most of our equations today, and from here on out, they're going to start taking us at least 3 steps to solve. So we have to make sure we're showing those steps out. It's just going to make it easier for me to help you if you make a mistake. If you check your answer and, Miss Golly, this one didn't work, where did I make a mistake? If you don't have your work written down, it's hard for you to analyze your work and me. So take the time. We give plenty of time. There's no need to rush. Show your steps. So now with number 1, now it becomes just like the 2 steps that we were solving the last few classes. I take care of addition first, by subtracting 1. And then I write what I have left. I have negative 6. Positive 1, negative 1 gives me 0. My equal sign just keeps following right down. 49 minus 1 is 48. Now my last step, I need to take care of this multiplication, and to undo that I divide. Be very careful, you have to divide by the number that's in front of our variable. Some of us today were trying to tell me to divide by 48. Nope, I have to divide by the negative 6, so just be careful. Now when we go to check, I realize I have 2 different x's in that equation. That's okay. Wherever I see an x, I'm going to replace it with negative 8. So there's 2x, so 2 times negative 8, minus 8 times negative 8, plus 1, and does that equal 49? So I only put, instead of x, I put what I think x equals. And you can enter that left side right in your calculator exactly as you see it, parentheses and all. We have to make sure we have the parentheses, otherwise we'll end up with what looks like 2 minus 8. Or if it wasn't a negative 8, it would look like 28. So just be very careful with that. So I do a little plugging and chugging in the calculator. We don't need to make the checks a ton of extra work. Put that entire left side in the calculator, and we're going to come up with that 49 on the left equals 49 on the right. In number 2, we need to start with combining our like terms. The negative 19 over on the left and that equal sign, they're just going to hang out for now. There's nothing to do on the left side. There's only a negative 19. Now as I go to the right side, I want to see if I can combine any of those terms. Is anything the same? I have a negative 5 and I have a negative 11. They don't have a variable with them, so that means they're like terms. We have to be really careful. And a few people in class today had said, hey, wait, you got to make sure you take the sign that's in front of the number also. The negative 5, that's really easy to see because there's nothing else in front of it. The negative 11 is a little bit tougher because we see that 11 and we just want to grab it. We have to also take that subtraction or that negative with it too. So when I combine those two, I get negative 16. There's no variable with it. Now, my a that's left, there's a 3a, but be very careful, guys, it's negative. One of the most common mistakes I see when solving equations is that sometimes we ignore the sign that's in front of our term. We have to take that sign with it, so be very careful with that. Now, we just have a 2-step left, just like we've been working on the last few classes. To undo negative 16, I have to add 16 to both sides. How do I know that's the right step? Negative 16 plus 16 gives me 0. Again, I have to watch my sign. It's a negative 3a that comes down. To undo multiplying by negative 3, we have to divide by it. So we get that a equals 1. Please make sure, I'm going to go ahead and show the check one more time on here. Negative 5 minus 3 times 1 minus 11. Make sure you're still checking. I would at the very least write out the first part of it like I have here, so I know exactly what I'm going to enter in my calculator for that right side. So negative 19 equals, if I put this right side in my calculator just as I see it, I will also get negative 19. I'm not expecting you to do that computation by hand, not by any stretch. I'm trying to see if we can solve an equation and check it. I'm not testing you on computation skills right now. I just want to make sure we can solve equations and we can check them. So if you are doing this at home, I encourage you, before you continue on with these, to try number 3 first before you listen to my explanation. So we're going to try number 3 in class, all on our own here. and see how we do. So if you're doing this at home, please go ahead and pause the video here and try number 3 before you listen to my explanation. All right, so for number 3, we've got a lot going on. Our 19 is going to stay in our equal sign. Now on the right side, I see I have a 10 and a negative 7. Some of us got stuck with that negative sign again. 10 minus 7 is 3. And then I have these W's in the middle. Maybe you picture them as watermelons. Maybe you made them into whales. Maybe you made them into a wave or water. Whatever works for you if you need that visual picture. It's a negative 5 and a positive 9. So I'm going to have positive 4W. Now the new part's done. Now we're back to our 2-step. I need to do the opposite of a positive 3. So it's going to be negative. So I get 16 equals positive 3, negative 3. That's how I know it was the right choice, because I get 0. And then I have 4W. To undo multiplying by 4, let's go ahead and divide. And 4 equals W. Please make sure you're taking the time. And I'm just going to show the setup. I know I said 2 was the last one I was going to show. But I think checking is so important. Super important. You can put that entire right side just right in your calculator. Put it right in the calculator and you're going to see that the right side also equals 19. Put it right in your calculator. So now I want you to go ahead and try number 4 on your own. Again, if you're doing this at home, please pause the video here and try number 4 before moving on. All right, so for number 4, we see we have some K's. I have a 2K and a 3K. If you want to picture them as kites or keys or whatever you'd like. Or kittens. I have 2 kittens plus another 3 kittens. 5 kittens. Now be careful when you're combining the number pieces. It is a negative 6 and a negative 7. So we have a negative 13. We have our equal sign and we have negative 48. We take care of subtraction first. We undo that with addition. So we have 5K, negative 13, positive 13. See you later. We have negative 35. We divide by 5. K equals negative 7. The last thing you need to make sure you do is check. So 2 times negative 7 minus 6 minus 7 plus 3 times negative 7 equals negative 48. Again, put that entire left side right in your calculator. If I had to check all that by hand every time, yeah, I probably would skip the check myself too. That's a lot of extra work. So instead of skipping it, we have the technology piece. Use your calculator, put everything on that left side in just as you see it. Make sure what you get on the left equals what you have on the right. If we were to get something other than negative 48, we would have to go back and see if we made a mistake somewhere solving our equation. Maybe we forgot a negative sign somewhere. Maybe we subtracted and we should have added. But again, if you don't show your steps, I can't analyze your work. You can't analyze your work. We can't find the mistake. Okay, so make sure you're showing those steps. I know we're starting to get into now, these are taking us 3 steps to solve, but that's going to happen. We're just going to kind of keep taking things up to the next level as we go. But we've been spending quite a bit of time on each level, on each type, because I need to make sure that we're solid on this. Solving equations is one of the foundations of our algebra. Okay, so that is all we're going to do for today in our notes packet. We're going to save, if you look at numbers 5 and 6, we see those parentheses going on. So we're going to have to do some distributing. We're going to save that for next time we use this packet.